Chapter 28. Captured Kagome. It was morning time. It was time for Kagome and Sesshomaru to go to their appointment with the doctor that Kaede had hired for them. As for Kagome and Sesshomaru, they both had been waiting for the doctor to arrive. The young priestess laid on the futon, feeling relaxed. Sesshomaru held on to her hand, never wanting to let go. Kagome knew her husband was very overprotective. Finally, the doctor arrived and approached them. "Hello there. Have I interrupted?" "No, sir, you didn't. We were just waiting for you," Kagome said with a great smile. The doctor smiled back. "I see. That's good to hear. I'm Dr. Suikotsu, and I'm here to take you to your medical exam. I've been taking very good care of the children and all the people." Sesshomaru softened his eyes. He noticed there was something suspicious about this man that he didn't like. Was he lying, or was he telling them the truth? I don't recall Kaede and Ayame saying anything about Kagome needing an examination. Kagome chuckled with a smile. "Relax, Sesshomaru," she said. "I'm sure Dr. Suikotsu will look after our child. Besides, he seems like a kind-hearted person." Suikotsu chuckled with a blush. "Thank you, Priestess Kagome." "Call me Kagome, sir. It won't take that long, right?" Kagome asked. "Why, of course not, Kagome. It won't be that long. But it will take around 10 to 15 minutes. So you should be..." Sesshomaru sighed at this. "Very well, I'll leave you two alone. But if I don't see my wife within 30 minutes, you'll be slashed by my claws." Suikotsu gulped in shock. "Oh, Sesshomaru, calm down. We'll be fine, I promise," Kagome said, scolding him. Sesshomaru gently leaned in and pressed onto her lips with a soft kiss. "All right. I'll leave you and Suikotsu alone until your medical exam is done." She chuckled again with a smile. "I'm sure you will." When Sesshomaru left the hut, Kagome looked over the belly and rubbed it softly. She couldn't believe it's only been 2 weeks since she's been pregnant. She and Sesshomaru couldn't wait to meet their unborn child. "You hear that, sweetie?" she asked happily. "Your daddy's always overprotective and possessive over us. He'll always be there to protect us." Suikotsu couldn't help but chuckle. He knew Kagome would be a great mother one day, and Sesshomaru would be a great father. Right now, he was busy taking her medical exam for the next few minutes. A few minutes later, Kagome had laid on the futon for over 25 minutes, until something was going on here. She wondered if Suikotsu had taken a very long time. She noticed there was something suspicious of him. Kagome began to get off the bed and checked on the doctor. When she was about to enter his room, she began to call out for him. "Hey, Dr. Suikotsu, is something..." Suddenly, she saw a man who wears armor that consists of a blue chest plate with 3 kuzaris that run down his legs and a green sash around his waist. He also has large black shoulder pads, blue arm guards over his kasode, and a pair of matching kan and tabi on his legs. She saw him spinning his head around and saw her standing in front of him. Kagome started to scream before he knocked her out. When she was about to fall to the ground, he caught her and carried her in a bridal style. As a matter of fact, it was Suikotsu who did this all along. This poor man had been suffering from the symptoms of dissociative identity disorder. He has 2 definite split personalities. One, a gentle philanthropist doctor who looks after orphans. The other, a psychopathic and sadistic thrill killer that earns him his place. While the doctor is in control, he has a severe case of hemophobia that causes him to hallucinate blood on his hands and can trigger his evil personality. When the mercenary takes hold, he seems to possess a dry sense of humor and an insatiable desire for blood. Suikotsu sighed at this. You owe me big time for this, Inuyumi," he said in disbelief, glancing at Kagome, who was completely unconscious. "I hope you, my brothers, and the others know what you're doing, because I don't want to be anywhere near when Sesshomaru and his friends find out what you've done." He then quickly ran towards the dark forest, where the two have been faded away, as he kept carrying her around in a bridal style. "Who's Suikotsu? We've never brought him in my village," Kaede said, as she sat beside the fireplace, pointing it out sharply. Of course, Ayame and Sesshomaru had told her everything about this Dr. Suikotsu. Turns out, they didn't know who he is. In fact, none of the villagers did. "What do you mean, Kaede?" Sesshomaru asked in confusion. You're the one who brought him here. Kaede blinked in shock. She began to scoot closer with a frown. Sesshomaru, when did you see this man? She questioned him. Well, we were told by Ayame that you brought him here in the village and told me to check Kagome's medical exam test. Have you not? Sesshomaru explained. Kaede widened her eyes in shock. I told you before, I never brought him here. I've never even met this man. Wait! Ayame interrupted their conversation. Inuyasha just stood in front of her with his arms crossed around his long sleeves. If you didn't tell me that you brought him here, then that means... Kagome was captured! Inuyasha shouted as he interrupted as well. What? Sesshomaru yelled in fury. He and the others quickly ran outside and headed towards the other hut where Kagome and Suikotsu were missing. He now realized this doctor was a liar. Oh no, Kagome! Ayame wailed in shock. Ayame, when did you meet this man? Kaede asked her. Well, I met him an hour ago when he arrived in your village. He told me that you had welcomed him to look after the others and even the children. I'm so sorry, I didn't know what happened, Ayame said in a panic. Sesshomaru growled furiously. That bastard! I knew I didn't trust him! We have to bring her back! Inuyasha walked towards his older brother. Sesshomaru, I know this guy has been working with someone. Take a guess. He growled again as his red and blue eyes went to glow. Naraku. Yeah, Naraku was responsible for this. You sent Suikotsu to capture Kagome. We have to rescue her, Inuyasha shouted. I'll go with you, Inuyasha, Ayame said as she stepped closer to him. Inuyasha couldn't help but blush slightly. Don't you forget about Shippo, Sango, and Moroku. They'll always be there to help you all as well, Kaede said. All three of them smirked. As for Sesshomaru, he couldn't help but want to slaughter the man who captured his mate. He shall pay, he growled with a smirk. Sesshomaru, calm down. We'll get her back. But we need to get Sango, Moroku, and Shippo teamed up against Naraku, Ayame said. Inuyasha nodded in agreement, who completely likes her. Right, let's go. Meanwhile, with Kagome, she laid on the ground floor. She slowly opened her eyes and found herself tied up around her waists and her ankles with the rope. Kagome looked around with a sweat drop. At first, she was groaning in a bit of pain. Where am I? Kagome moaned, gleaming her icy blue eyes. Well, 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 I see you're finally awake, priestess, a female voice said as she revealed herself with a frown and smirk. She widened her eyes. Inuyumi? What the hell are you doing here? Release me! Inuyumi chuckled darkly. Now why would I do that, priestess? There is no way I shall release you until your unborn half-breed will die. She gasped in panic. When Inuyumi was about to slash her with her long claws, she heard a footstep coming in, until Kagome saw the young man with the tattoo of a 4-star mark on his forehead and black hair with a braided ponytail. His eyes are dark blue, and he's handsome. He has a very big blade called Banryu that he carries around his left shoulder. Am I interrupting, Yumi? I don't see why this is a good idea who's carrying Sesshomaru's half-breed child, the man said with a smooth smirk. Inuyumi glared at him. Bonkotsu. There was another man who appeared out of nowhere and stood behind Bonkotsu. Forgive me for interrupting, but I don't think this is a good idea, the boy said in nervousness. Hello, Jikotsu. Bonkotsu greeted him kindly, pounding him on his back. This is a good idea. We have to collect all the jewel shards for Master Naraku. Kagome blinked. Naraku? Yup. We serve Naraku. We have to collect all the shards to restore them for Naraku's orders, Bonkotsu said with a smirk. Where did you all come from? Well, it's a long story. Naraku brought us back to life using the jewel shards. He wanted us to battle against Inuyasha and Sesshomaru. That's why we brought you, priestess, Bonkotsu explained. Are you here to kill me? Kagome asked with a frown. We're not here to kill you. We're here to bring you to Naraku's castle, Jikotsu said. Naraku's castle? The boys nodded in response. To my point of view, we all know how powerful Sesshomaru and Inuyasha are. Inuyumi wouldn't lead herself in trouble by stealing you from your mate, Sesshomaru. Shut up, Jikotsu. How the hell would he know unless you and Bonkotsu let Suikotsu capture this girl? Now why don't you go guard the door so nobody comes in, and let me know when they're here. Inuyumi shouted in anger. Jikotsu gulped in fear, nodding his head. Yes, ma'am. When Jikotsu left, Bonkotsu looked over his shoulder at Inuyumi. He crossed his arms around his chest. Well, that's your funeral, Yumi, he replied. Naraku would laugh his ass off when he hears about this. Fuck off, Bonkotsu. Inuyumi growled at him with eyes that glowed red. When she looked back at Kagome, she noticed that she began to speak to her. What do you want, Inuyumi? She asked in a growling voice. Didn't they tell you that Sesshomaru doesn't love you anymore because you were with another man? Inuyumi smirked evilly, chuckling. So you can trap my Sesshomaru with your disgusting half-breed child? Think again, bitch, she said in a loud voice. I will make sure that you never have that or ever be of Sesshomaru again. Once again, when Inuyumi was about to slash her, they heard a door suddenly open, and there, two figures approached them. Kagome widened as she noticed who they were. I hope no one's interrupted, a low male voice said, walking towards the demon dog and the pregnant priestess. Naraku, Tsubaki, Kagome growled in anger, struggling to break free from the ropes. But it didn't work at all. The rope was stronger and painful. Kagome, long time no see. I'm glad we meet again. You left your beloved Inuyasha with Lord Sesshomaru. That sounds a lot like betrayal, Naraku said with an evil grin. Kagome glared. Even though Inuyasha was enchanted by Kikyo to kill me and to take the other half of her soul for her, I was able to find someone I love, and I was able to be with Sesshomaru to have our unborn child, not as someone who doesn't care about me. Tsubaki walked towards her. You may be right, but you didn't know Kikyo had worked for Naraku to enchant Inuyasha and take all of your jewel shards. She gasped in shock. Wait, you mean Kikyo has... Yes. Kikyo had loyalty to us. We ordered her to kill you and all your friends, but our plan had failed. So we decided to do something to you, Tsubaki said. Like what? We were going to entertain you and your unborn child, but we don't want to kill your child. We want your child to be Naraku's successor, Tsubaki told her. What? Are you saying that you guys want to take my baby away? Kagome yelled and sweat dropped as she frowned. Truly, Naraku replied with a nod. He spun his head around towards his two incarnations, Kagura and Kana. Kagura, I want you to bring out the tainted jewel shard for me. I want you to test Kagome and see how it goes. You won't taint me by evil. I'm stronger than you, Kagome shouted. Don't worry, I'm not going to hurt you. We want you and your baby alive, Kagura said as she approached her with the dark glowing shard in her hand. That's why we brought you here. We want the baby to be a successor. Don't do anything funny. If you do, then we'll have no choice but to put you in the cold cell. Tsubaki smirked, circling at Kagome. Kagome spun around and looked over the shoulder at Naraku, who was staring at her. I will keep your child safe, and he or she will belong to me. When the child is born, my plan will be successful, and your child's soul will be tainted by hatred. You should know how this works by now. You've seen what happens, Kagome. She growled at him loudly. Never! My child will never join you! Kana slowly approached when she carried the infant around her arms. Kagome saw the infant spin his head and stare at her gaze. It's simple, he said. We are making your child one of us. Over my dead body! Kagome yelled once more, struggling to break free. Bonkotsu laughed out. Well, she must be a rough one, boss. Inuyumi was just glaring at him. She turned her head at Naraku. Naraku, why didn't you let me kill this disgusting half-breed baby? Naraku softened his crimson eyes. We don't want the child to be killed by your hands. We want it alone, he told her in a stern voice. She scoffed, looking away. Some fucking attitude she has, Bonkotsu said, smirking around. Silence, Tsubaki commanded, glaring at him. Let him finish. The infant glanced at Kagura. Kagura, if you please untie her. he commanded her as Kagura nodded in response. They watched Kagura swing her fan towards Kagome, untying her. Kana, if you would, please pass it to Kagome. When he commanded her, Kana slowly passed it to her, but Kagome flinched in fear. Kagura grabbed her in the shoulders and demanded her to stop moving around. Kana slowly passes it to the pregnant priestess until the infant made her body glow. Kagome couldn't move a muscle. She felt her body go numb. What's going on? My body isn't responding to me, Kagome thought, glancing down at the infant who was laying onto her chest. She was about to give in until she couldn't stop thinking of Sesshomaru. She closed her eyes and trembled a bit. Sesshomaru, please save us. Save me and our child. Don't give up, Kagome! Who's there? Kagome heard a voice until she saw the ghost of Sesshomaru's father, Inuyasha, who was standing there and watching over her. Do not give in, Kagome. You have the strength within you. Use your spiritual power. Fight back. Don't let your child become one of them. Inuyasha shouted with echo until he faded away. Kagome frowned as she grunted in pain. She remained in her strength to become stronger again. She pushed herself as the light pink glow purified the evil spell. Everyone is in shock seeing this. Kagome became stronger than the powerful pure evil. As a matter of fact, she saw a figure priestess who stood beside Inuyasha. It was Midoriko who watched over her. Lady Midoriko, Kagome breathed out heavily. She gave her a kind smile. You did very well, Kagome. When she and Inuyasha disappeared, Kagome began to collapse and drop the infant. Everyone, except Naraku, is in shock. Impossible! Inuyumi shrieked in anger. How the hell did she do that? She purified the evil, Naraku responded. Kagura picked the infant up and gave it back to her sister Kana. He slowly walked towards her and lifted Kagome's chin. I'm impressed by your purifying spell. But if you just obeyed me once, I wouldn't have done this to you and your unborn baby. Don't worry, Naraku. We'll let her go until Sesshomaru and the others come here to save her, Tsubaki said. Kagura, dear, take Kagome to the cell. We'll find another plan for her. Kagura nodded. Yes, ma'am, she said with a frown. When she was about to take Kagome to the cell, Naraku stopped them until he wanted to say something. Oh, and one more thing, Kagome, Naraku said with an evil smirk. Kagome glared at him weakly. He touched her belly and rubbed it as he heard a heartbeat. I know something else before you. Naraku leans into her ear and whispers. It's a girl. Kagome widened in shock and sweat dropped before she faded away. Naraku must be joking. But she didn't know who this child's gender is. Kagura then sent her to the cell and brought her some warm blankets and pillows to keep Kagome's baby safe. Chapter 29. To the rescue and defeating the enemies. Come on, let's go find Kagome! Sango shouted as she, Sesshomaru, and the others were heading towards the secret barrier where Naraku had hidden his castle. As a matter of fact, they know how to get through the barrier. It was Inuyasha's idea who made it through the barrier back then when he tried to defeat Naraku. Inuyasha pulled out his Tetsaiga sword and the blade turned red. When it turned red, he swung the sword and shattered the barrier into pieces. Well done, Inuyasha! Now let's go save Kagome! Ayame shouted excitedly as they ran towards the castle. Meanwhile, with Naraku, who stood in front of the window, he widened his crimson eyes and saw the barrier was shattered. He noticed it was Inuyasha, Sesshomaru, and their friends. He sighed at this calmly. He spun around and faced the red-eyed woman Kagura. Kagura, I want you to bring the band of 7. Take care of Inuyasha and Sesshomaru. I have things to do to Kagome and the unborn baby, Naraku said with a frown. Kagura nodded in response. She then headed out to find their enemies. When Kagura was out searching for Bankotsu and his brothers, Naraku decided what to do with Kagome and the Shikon Jewel Shard. He headed towards the hall. Kagome was in the cold cell and doing nothing to escape from Naraku and his fellow friends. There was nothing she could do but sit around in the cell. That was not a safe place for the baby. But she remembered how Naraku told her it was a girl. She was in shock by that. He must be smarter than the doctors. She looked over the 2 guards who stood behind the door. Kagome felt the sudden pain when she groaned. She knew it was the baby who kicked her inside her stomach hard. "Not now, little one. Mommy's been trying to find a way to escape this place," Kagome said, rubbing her stomach. Suddenly, she saw something was a pink blur. She saw the two guards were knocked out unconscious. There was a figure with pink hair with priestess robes and armors. Around her shoulders and her chest. "There's enough for both of you when you wake up. We'll be long gone," a figure said as she unlocked the door to help Kagome escape. "Who are you?" Kagome asked in shock. "Don't worry, kid. I'll get you out of here," a pink-haired woman said, grabbing her hand and teleporting into a different place. Why are you helping me?" Kagome asked again. "I'm not a villain. I'm only here to help you escape because I don't want you to get hurt," the pink-haired woman said. "What's your name?" "My name is Lightning. I'm here to rescue you from Naraku. Besides, he's gone too far this time, so I decided to save you from his madness," Lightning said. "Thank you, Lightning, but I need to find Sesshomaru and my friends. They must be coming to rescue me," Kagome said with a worried look on her face. "I'll take you to them when we have to help them defeat Naraku," Lightning said. "Thank you." Within a few minutes, they had defeated Kagura, and Sesshomaru has to go after Naraku to kill him. Sesshomaru dashed towards the room where Naraku was hiding the whole time. He kicked the door down and found Naraku with the white baboon cloak and mask who sat on the stage. "Naraku, where's Kagome?" Sesshomaru snarled furiously. Naraku chuckled evilly. "I won't tell you where she is, Lord Sesshomaru. It sounds like you stole her from Inuyasha, who deeply loves her." He scoffed with a glaring look. "I would never steal her away from my brother Naraku," he said in an angered voice. "I have someone to protect. This time, I'll make sure to kill you." He chuckled again before Sesshomaru unleashed his Tokijin sword. When they began to battle against each other, they heard a servant was calling out for Naraku. "My lord, Mistress Kagome is escaping. Someone has taken her," a servant cried out loudly. The two of them widened their eyes in shock. "What?" Naraku frowned at the servant. "Never mind. Leave us at once." The servant nodded in response, then took off running. Finally, they started to fight. At first, he pulled out his katana and clashed with Sesshomaru's Tokijin sword. Clashing and swinging at each other, Naraku's cloak was slashed by Sesshomaru's claws and sealed away, leaving his cloak off to reveal himself. "Trying to hide with your reveal, Naraku?" Sesshomaru asked. "Not all the time, Sesshomaru," Naraku said. Sesshomaru dashed towards Naraku and swung his Tokijin sword at him, but it was being clashed by Naraku's sword. Naraku swings his sword back and forth until he shattered Sesshomaru's right armor. There was a sudden pain, and Sesshomaru could feel it. Of course, Naraku slashed him in his right shoulder. It was bleeding out badly. Sesshomaru frowned at this, ignoring the pain he has. When they were about to battle each other more, they heard the window was shattered. It was Inuyasha who joined the battle. "Naraku, prepare to die, you bastard!" "Inuyasha." Naraku snarled at him, as he hated the way Inuyasha had ended their battle. "You're dead to me!" Inuyasha yelled as he swung his Tetsaiga sword towards Naraku. "You know that doesn't work," Naraku shouted as he clashed Inuyasha's sword quickly. "Wind Scar!" Inuyasha yelled again, swinging the sword, causing the whole room to be destroyed. Naraku, of course, his whole body was destroyed in pieces. Sesshomaru was in a bit of shock by seeing his brother slicing him into pieces. "Inuyasha!" Sesshomaru shouted out his name. Inuyasha smirked at Naraku, winning his victory. "Today's the day, Naraku. I won't let you get away this time." "How did he do that? He destroyed my body," Naraku thought in shock. One of his skins was floating in the air, and so was Naraku's head. "Inuyasha, together we can defeat Naraku," Sesshomaru shouted, pointing the Tokijin at Naraku, who was glaring at them. "Well, get in line then, big bastard!" Inuyasha shouted back, using his strength to remain the Tetsaiga and regain its power. The two brothers were ready to defeat Naraku as they held their swords with power. Within a minute, they both ran towards Naraku and ready to swing their swords. "Wind Scar!" Inuyasha yelled. "Behold, Dragon Strike!" Sesshomaru yelled in an echoing voice. Suddenly, they saw a glowing arrow was shot with a filled amount of powerful Reiki in it. They knew it was Kagome who finally escaped the castle, and there was also someone who helped with her escape. All of the attacks went straight towards Naraku, whose red eyes widened when he saw all of the attacks heading towards him. "It's over, Naraku!" Kagome shouted. Naraku screamed out in pain as his body quickly turned into tiny pieces that were soon purified into ashes by Kagome's spiritual power. Inuyasha quickly caught the tainted jewel piece before it fell. "Kagome, you're okay," Sesshomaru cried out as he ran towards Kagome and embraced her tightly. He kissed her on the lips, with Kagome happily kissing back. "Here you go, Kags," Inuyasha said as he handed the tainted jewel to Kagome. He and Sesshomaru watched in wonder as Kagome purified the tainted jewel. "It's finally purified," Kagome said with a smile. "And Naraku is finally gone. Moroku's wind tunnel finally disappeared, and Kohaku is finally free from his control," Inuyasha said with a smirk. "Lady Kagome?" It was Kohaku who approached them in surprise. "Is that you?" Kagome nodded. "Yes, it's me, Kohaku. Let me help you." She walked towards the boy quickly. "Lady Kagome, when you pull off the shard, am I gonna die?" Kohaku asked in a worried voice. She shook her head. "No, you won't die. I will pull it off until it's over." Kohaku nodded, turning around, with Kagome taking the shard out of his back. The shard was purified. But they noticed there was something strange about Kohaku. He was still alive. I'm still alive?" Kohaku asked in disbelief. "Yes, you are. Now you can go see your sister again," Kagome said. "Thank you, Lady Kagome," Kohaku exclaimed happily. "Kagome! Sesshomaru! Inuyasha!" They saw Moroku, Sango, Ayame, and Shippo all running towards them as they were heading outside. Ayame embraced Inuyasha happily. One of Kagome's friends was giving them a group hug. After this, Sango gasped in shock when she saw Kohaku was coming in. Kohaku? Sango asked, with tears forming in her eyes. "Sis," Kohaku said with a smile, as Sango ran and embraced her brother tightly. Kohaku returned the hug. Sango looks over to Kagome and tells her, "Thank you, Kagome. Thank you." "You're welcome, Sango," Kagome said with a smile. Within a minute, they noticed there was the same woman who rescued Kagome early ago before the Battle of Naraku. "So, you're Lightning, right?" Sesshomaru asked. Lightning nodded in response. "Thank you for saving my wife," Sesshomaru said kindly. "It was an honor. But I wanted to take her to meet her father," Lightning said. Kagome widened her icy blue eyes. "My father?" Everyone else was in shock as well. Lightning nodded. "Yes, your father is still alive. He just wanted to see you again right after he faked his death." Kagome couldn't help but cry. She was smiling at that. "Lightning, please take me to my father. I want to see him as well."